Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kickback Presents the All Memphis Post Game Show, where we are breaking down, recapping every Memphis Tigers, Memphis Grizzlies game right after they happen. You don't have to wait. You get our takes fresh off the game. With me, as always, is the homie Mace. Mace, what's going on, brother? How are you feeling after this game?
I'm glad we have a 20-minute buffer or so between the end of the game and the start of the show, because I needed all 20 minutes to recover from that heartbreaker. I mean, it was a great game, but dang, it sucks to lose in that fashion. Proud of the team. They showed up for the fight. They were there for it. In the first half, the team battled foul trouble. I myself was going through a hangover, fighting through some adversity, and trying to make sure I could be 100% for the second half. And, I'm proud of the fight the guys showed. And I don't think anyone in the country who watched that game, especially the committee, can look at that game and think Memphis is not a top 30 team. And we'll get into why they lost and, some questionable decisions here and there. But all in all, I'm super proud of the guys and the fight that they showed.
Man, I wrote it down a few times on my notes for the game, is that Memphis looked like the more confident team. At times, they looked like the better team. Admittedly, I hadn't watched much of Houston this season. Just, more about them by hearing what they've done and seeing the box score. But if they played like this, I can see how they lost to Tulsa and ECU. Well, maybe not ECU, but I can definitely see how they lost to Tulsa, because they ain't really impressed me that much. And I know they lost somebody, but I wasn't impressed by Houston at all that much. I was way impressed by, I was hoping for any reason to get on here and talk bad about the Tigers, hoping for it. But after this game, man, there was not really much. There isn't really much as a Tiger hater that I can hate on. Besides the fact, they lost the game, but like they played better. They were tougher. So if in the eyes of the committee and the eyes of Tigers fans, this is a team that you wanted to see all year. They obviously they still have their shortcomings. We know what they are. Houston's a good defensive team. 64 points is kind of, hopefully you would like some more points, but hey, that is what it is, man. So I am if I'm Memphis, I don't think this ruined their tournament chances. They get another chance at Houston in the tournament, and with A-Lo back and maybe more DeAndre Williams, they will probably be a little bit more confident. But now I think Houston didn't take them seriously a little bit. They just kind of the way they looked around, the way they were looking. But I don't know, man. That's just how I feel about it. I was looking for a blowout so I could just come in here and say, I told y'all Memphis wasn't ready. I told you this, told you that. But they look like the more competent and the more confident team against Houston.
And the thing was, it could have very easily turned into a blowout early on, especially with the foul trouble. DeAndre Williams played like 5-6 minutes in the first half. That was it. Musa was also in some foul trouble. And in that first half, Houston had 7 second chance points and Memphis only had 2. And, if you've listened to talk radio or anything this week, Gary Parrish has been talking about how Houston is a great offensive rebounding team. Memphis wasn't going to be able to keep them off the boards. And in that first half, Houston had 16 misses and they had 8 offensive rebounds. So they got their own misses on half the shots. But we held them to 7 second chance points, which is pretty good, with our defense, indicative of what we do. And we only had 6 turnovers in the first half.
Right.
Also, only had 6 turnovers in the second half. So in the biggest game of the season, when it mattered most, without your point guard, I thought that was huge. To only have 12 turnovers. And I just think it kind of points to how far this team comes, but it also points to how they play up and down to their competition, like you like to point out.
Well, I mean, that's one thing that you always notice about this team, that they play, like I said, they play up and down. I saw somebody say the Tigers had too many turnovers. They ended up with 12 tonight, which anytime the Tigers have less than 15 turnovers, you want to be happy about. They averaged 19 the last 5 games, last 6, whatever game. They throw the ball away a whole lot. And so they only having 12 turnovers today was good. But part of that was, and hopefully this is something where Penny can start to change a little bit, is the pace was slower. With a slower pace, you have less turnovers. And so Penny wants to be the fastest team in the nation. Penny wants to do this and wants to do that. So you're going to have these stupid these turnovers with these games with 19 turnovers, these 20 games with 20 turnovers. Play a slower style. You'll take care of the ball a little bit more, and there you go. And also, DeAndre Williams is a turnover machine. The reason they only had 6 in the first half is because he ain't played that much. He came in the second half and he started throwing the damn ball everywhere, like traveling 6. I bet how many turnovers did they say he had?
He had 5.
I can imagine 3 of the 6 turnovers the Tigers had in the second half were because of him. I think a charge. No, that was in the first half. The step back and some whatever.
He had another travel too, I think. Yeah.
So those were his turnovers. Like I said, I ain't gonna get on here and be too speak too glowingly about the Tigers because there are some things that they could have worked on, especially with Penny. I think that. Well, let's take it by half by half. The first half you talked about, the score was 35-39. Houston was up 39-35. Listen to these numbers from the first half. There were 25 made field goals, 24 fouls, and 30 free throw shots. So the refs took control of this game early, and it ended up messing up the flow of the game for both halves because the way they were playing in the second half, fouls that they called in the first half, they weren't calling in the second half, and that's what threw both teams off.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis had 15 fouls in the first half alone, so over half of those 24 fouls you mentioned. I guess Houston only had 9. And like I said, most of their good play, like DeAndre Williams was out the whole half. Musa wasn't out there, but Malcolm, I thought, continued his great play. His minutes in the first half were huge. I think he had 7 points, 3 or 4 from the field, and just being available right in the middle of the lane on the pick and roll. And then Landers Nolly, I think he had 12 of his points in the first half. And he just basically was the only offense we had, him. And then Lester hit a couple big threes, got the guitar strumming going, which we saw later in the game. Houston returning the favor with the guitar strumming. And I love that shit. Houston, to me, is Memphis's rival in this conference right now in football and basketball. So I was here for it. And I'm glad the refs didn't tech anyone up. They allowed a lot of talking going back and forth. And you could even hear it come through on the broadcast a couple of times. But they did call a lot of ticky-tack fouls. And, I mean, it made a great game almost unwatchable in that first half.
Well, that's I've said it before with this team, that Memphis is always going to be at the mercy of the referees. I think one of the most notable games was earlier this year against South Florida, where they played a really physical game. And the refs had a tight whistle in the beginning, and the whistle loosened up. But it was a game, I think, where Alo locked somebody up at center court, and they were 51-50, something like that. It was a close game, and it was a borderline call that usually gets called a foul, but it wasn't called a foul because of the way that the refs officiate Memphis. And so Memphis in these big games is always going to be at the mercy of the referees because they play so physically and they talk so much. The first play of the game, Musa gets the ball at the free throw line, takes one dribble, gets a layup and one, and he's already super demonstrative, super talking, and you know what I'm saying, all of that stuff. And I'm like, bruh, refs don't like that. There's a reason why the refs called the game they called in that first half, because they were trying to shut Memphis up. Memphis started talking, then Houston started talking. Then the game started getting out of control with a little bit of physical stuff. And so the refs had to do what they had to do. But the Tigers will always be at the mercy of the referees when it comes to these games, because the way the style that they play is not what you see most of the time.
Right. And so just to dive a little deeper, Houston got 12 points from the free throw line. They were 12 of 18, so they weren't knocking all their freebies down. And then it's not like Memphis wasn't getting to the line. We were 6 of 12. We just weren't making our free throws. And in a tight game like this, when you're not turning the ball over and getting to the line, is, you know, in the half court, Memphis is not great. So when you get fouled, that's supposed to be a positive thing, like because you don't have a great offense that you run and get easy buckets. So in theory, getting to the line is your easy bucket. And we just couldn't knock free throws down. 50% in the first half and 50% on the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's concerning, you know. When it's concerning and it's all too normal for Memphis. And
it's not just one player. It's like the whole team missing free throws, even your best shooters and everything.
And like they didn't, even when it's different coaches, different players, whatever. There's always a free throw problem, and like Jo says here, they didn't get to the line enough, even when they were in the bonus. They didn't. The thing that blew my mind, really, I'm watching the first half, and I think I wrote it down. I didn't write down how many trips it was, but I think that Kelvin Sampson and his team and his coaching staff instilled the fear of God in his players about attacking the basket. Because in the first half, they didn't try to go to the rim at all. They were out here doing too much. Houston was out here penetrating and putting it right back out. They weren't trying to test Malcolm or trying to test Musa at all. And it kind of, to me, I don't know their team like that. It looked like they messed up the flow of their offense. But it's also
they weren't hitting those threes. They were 3 of 12.
Right, exactly. And it's like, so at least try to go. And us watching Memphis more than we watch Houston, like, all you got to do to drive into Musa, give him an up fake, he gonna jump. Musa don't know how to stand still, how not to jump off the ground. So, and he got a foul, like he got a couple fouls like that. So it was interesting to see how both teams played. Malcolm, like you said, you mentioned Malcolm, got to give him a shout out. Malcolm likes to play against Houston. He played really well against Houston last year. I think he had a perfect game against Houston last year. In Memphis when they beat him by 1. And he just plays. I guess that style suits him because he plays well against Houston.
Yeah, and he's just a more mature player on the floor than Musa. So Penny trusts him more. You see him playing in those late game scenarios now a lot more than Musa, because Musa's just a wild card. He's gonna hustle, but you don't know what else you're gonna get. He might pull up from the free throw line and toss it straight off the backboard.
Which we've seen happen a few times during this game, but not from Musa. Like Lester shot a shot, not even toward the end. Well, Boogie shot 3 of them throughout the game. They didn't hit no rim. And then the Lester's 3 at the end, and we'll get to that. But it was, I said it before, Memphis came into this game with a bunch of confidence. They came into this game looking like they were going to win this game. Houston looked like they slept walking to this game. They weren't tight. They weren't fresh off the crisp is the word I'm looking for. Off the jump. You know what I'm saying? Like I made a note like, Houston looks confused, not up to the challenge, would have expected a stronger start. Because they weren't out here like Jarreau was looking crazy. He threw the ball. It was just like they weren't ready for the game. And that surprised me with this game being as big as it is, but maybe it wasn't big to them. Yeah,
Jarreau did have 3 first half turnovers. But do you think that was Memphis's defense that just had them out of sorts? I mean, it's probably a combination of the two, right? Being off for a week and then playing one of the best defenses in the country who was amped up and ready for the game.
Right. I think I mean, you can't take anything away from Memphis's defense. Like we that's the one constant that they have all season. You know that their defense colors the way that the game is played and the performance from the other team. So yeah, I can't take anything away from that. But I would have assumed, because I went back and looked, like, Houston, this is the closest game that Houston has won in conference. Every other game they won in conference, they won by more than 10 points. In the games they lose, they obviously lose. But this is the closest game that they've had, and so like maybe this is just a test, what they did. Will, what do you think about this? Jo make a great point. What do you think? Did DeAndre Williams picked up 2 fouls in the first half? And then Penny set him for 14 minutes. What do you think about that decision?
The first half I'm okay with because the game didn't get out of hand. He's just buying time. Where I had the issue was in the second half when he picked up number 4, and it's gets down to, he picked it up with, I believe, 7:46 left in the game. And I understand taking him out for a minute or two, but I would have just left him in that whole time. Like your season is on the line. But yeah, in the first half, it's hard to knock him because the Tigers kept it close,
I will say this, and this is more of a conversation about Penny's coaching style than anything, because Musa picked up 2 quick fouls too, and then but Musa was back in the second half. Maybe Penny knew how important DeAndre was to the team, so he didn't really didn't want to risk that. But damn, what was I about to say? Oh, we mentioned his name. Landers had 12 of his 14 in the first half.
Yeah,
and he basically was non-existent the second half. Landers was one of your most experienced players of playing in the ACC last year, and looked like he was super ready for this game, right? He came in, scored 7 quick points. He was good. You got to keep him more involved. You got to keep Lester involved. I mean, you got to keep Landers involved. You got to get him shots. Granted, like I said, the game didn't get out of hand, so you can't really. It's kind of nitpicking because it is what it. But maybe if you get Landers some more shots, you can extend the lead. Because now you got people taking shots that you don't really want taking shots.
Yeah, and I think Landers became a focal point for Houston's defense after he kept us in the game early in the first half. I thought they did a really good job of taking him out of the game because let's not forget, Houston is a top 10 defensive team in the country in their own right. So a very good defensive team. And I just thought that they did it. They weren't going to let Landers Nolly beat them. And really Lester, too. They didn't let him get a lot of open looks. And they were content with, Damian Baugh or whoever making the decisions and taking the shots.
Lester, I think they did Lester wrong. The refs did, because Quentin Grimes definitely elbowed Lester in the face at the free throw line, and they called a foul on Lester. But and they went and reviewed it, and I don't know how they didn't see that. I mean, Lester, like we've mentioned it before, he gets up in you, and he's an irritant. He's a gnat. He's the taller version of Patrick Beverly, I guess. Taller and more light-skinned version of Patrick Beverly. Couple big shots from him in the game. It was interesting to see how Penny used the bench. You got minutes over there? Because this doesn't have minutes on.
Yeah, I got you.
Damian didn't play as many minutes as I thought he was. And
he played 21.
Okay, that's not too bad. Maybe because I just didn't really understand him on the floor like that. You know what I'm saying?
Once DJ went down, he basically had to play, and he's the backup point guard.
Right. So here's one question: do you think having Alo on the team, having Alo for this game, would have made a difference?
I do. I think in some of those late situations, just better decision making. And maybe we would have got a bucket in some of those cases. But yeah, I think Alo makes this team better, and his defense, maybe he could have stopped Jarreau, because Jarreau averages 10 points a game. He had 19 this morning, 19 and 8. And then Grimes had his 17. That's about what he averages. But I think Alo definitely could have made a difference. We did a great job on Marcus Sasser. He's their second leading scorer.
That dude's a blowtorch. I got it right back. I said, number 0 Sasser is a blowtorch. And anytime he got the ball, it was a bad shot or a turnover. And I'm like, bro, Jerome them just pass him the ball like he a good player. Get this dude off the court. He is a blowtorch.
I want to say he was a freshman of the year last year in the conference. He can hoop.
Terrible. Terrible. He was horrible.
But man, we came out at halftime. Tigers scored 7 straight, took the lead. Everybody's knocking down threes. Lester hit one. DeAndre Williams got it going. DJ finally hit one. And then just when everything's going well, Jamal, the worst play of the game happened. DeAndre Williams gets on a fast break, and he just misses the dunk. He just blows it.
Missed the dunk. The funny thing is, we're looking at the stat sheet right now. It says he's 4 for 4. They must just call it a turnover.
How is that not? You and I looked before the show trying to find exactly when it happened in the game, and it's not. They've erased it from the game history. That dunk, that missed dunk, did not happen.
Did not happen. Well, before we get into everything else, it looks like we have an on-screen caller here. Adding to the stream. What's up, peoples?
Man, what's going on?
What's going on? Look.
Hey, man, so look. I got a question because we just chimed in. Go see Uncle JB. Okay, look. This is how bad it is. I wish I could show y'all.
We got babies crying.
Look, we got the kids out here because we all mad at the loss of the Tigers. We got the kids out here doing the layup line.
Hey, lay it in. Don't try to dunk it.
Yeah, don't try to dunk it. You'll be like DeAndre Williams and you miss a wide open dunk. So
that was rough, man.
So how y'all feeling? Because like I said, I literally just tuned in. So how y'all feeling?
Proud of the overall effort, but to lose in that fashion when you only make 50% of your free throws and give up a half-court buzzer beater, I mean, that's a tough loss because close losses don't mean nothing. But I don't see how like the committee can look at this Memphis team and not think they're one of the best 30, 40 teams in the nation.
I hate to do this, and he probably smiles when I do this. I'm gonna take a page out of Jamal's book. They're gonna get blown out on Thursday, Friday, whenever they play. Houston gonna blow them folks out. The Memphis played their best game. Like if I'm Penny, I can go in there and be like, they beat us on the fluke. But the realistic nature of me is like, bro, can we duplicate this effort? Which I'm hoping this is who they are, instead of like the anomaly, like going back to the earlier part of the season. I don't think Alo helps bring that much more to the defense was straight. Like Grimes, how many he ended up with this game?
17, but he was 6 of 14 from the field, so he struggled to get it.
He had a quiet 17. Like, does Alo, in your opinion, add does he equal a win for the next game?
I mean, he doesn't equal a win, but I think just his decision making. I think Alo's decision making was missed, even though we only had 12 turnovers. I just think he's the leader of the team. Like, yeah, we're gonna be better with Alo on the floor.
I don't know if Alo gonna bring that much. And I don't know if you can say the Tigers played a perfect game. They played one of their best games, but like you get Boogie involved a little bit more because Boogie was terrible. Outside of the big shot he made, then he was terrible. He didn't do nothing at all. If you get Landers, like we talked about it right while y'all were calling in, like Landers didn't do much in the second half. So you get him more involved, to get him more going in the second half, he'll be good, But I just expected Houston to be better. Like Houston don't scare me no more. Like,
yeah, they didn't play like a number. They're not the number 9 team in the country.
I wasn't familiar with them. I ain't watched much of them, just knowing what the numbers say and the teams they beat. But I ain't really impressed by Houston that much. I mean, they play really good defense, obviously. But
I'd agree with that. My question was coming in with the question, actually, is it what Memphis did right or what Houston did wrong? Before I give my opinion about it.
That's a good way to look at it. What you got, Mace?
Well, I mean, I think the Memphis defense is as advertised. Like, it is one of the toughest defenses to go against in the country, if not the toughest. We got the length, and the offense struggles. But luckily in the second half, we got some threes to fall. I think our defense allows us to play with anyone in the country. Honestly, like we haven't seen this team get blown out a lot, even though we haven't been tested a lot against really good teams. But this team is up for the fight against whoever. Wherever. So the AAC tournament, I think we got a chance at Houston.
Well, like I said earlier, I think a lot of it depends on the whistle that they get. The refs dictate the game, and Memphis is at the mercy of the refs because they play such a physical, all the time defense. Like some of the fouls are stupid fouls, like trapping the offensive rebounder. 90 feet away from the basket. Like, why are you doing it? Malcolm got a foul like that for no reason. Like, that's just dumb. But I would probably say, not knowing, watching more Memphis basketball than Houston basketball, that was one of the best games that Memphis has played. And I can't say that for Houston. So I would think that if that game does get to overtime, Memphis might even win it. I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis won that game in overtime. But just the way it is now, like, you can't win the game when you shoot 50% from free throw line. And the 12 turnovers is fine. Like, I am actually happy with the 12 turnovers. That didn't even mean that much. It actually is 11 because they gave DeAndre Williams a turnover for a missed dunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a missed dunk. They gave him a turnover. It's only 11 turnovers. So we'll see what it looks like in the semifinals. Maybe at a neutral court, Houston gets their shit together and they blow them out. Who knows? But what are your thoughts, JB? As another resident Memphis fan, what are your thoughts?
Resident Memphis fan, and I'm trying to remove bias. And I asked the question, so I'll try to be unbiased with the answer. Starting off with prefacing, Memphis actually played a good game from our standards of this season. It wasn't a good game as far as the top tier collegiate program simply because of the turnovers and the free throws. It's hard to put yourself in that that category if you're not doing the easy parts. But the intangibles, the effort, the hustle, the fight, man, it was there. I don't think that I've seen a game, and it's a good amount. I hadn't seen a game where we were consistent for 40 minutes on hustle, on fight. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it got to a point where if, you know, based off the season, if we got down 2, maybe 3 possessions, it was a little bit more nerve than normal, but they showed me that we're capable. You mentioned it, Mace. Our defense is our catalyst. We don't get to a point offensively where we're going to right away strike and come back out of a 3-4 possession game. But on defense, we will turn you over. We will stop you. No complaints on defense. Everything was there. I could in my head, just being overly critical, recall a couple of slow rotations that we made that I like I said, just being overly critical, wanted that turnover, wanted that steal, wanted that charge. But in the grand scheme, no complaints. The problems or my concerns are the things that I feel like we take for granted as a fan watching a D1 player. I'm not a D1 player, so I'm not going to be saying as a D1 player that you're capable of this. But the free throws, you're right, Jay. Boogie, the last 2 games have shown me what he is and why he was recruited so highly. And I think that he continues to play like that. If you want to fast forward to next game, the biggest question I have is, can we duplicate the effort after a letdown? It's tough when you get that far and you lose on a half-court, 3/4 quarter shot or a long-distance shot, left hand leaning off a bounce pass on the inplay with 1.7 seconds left. But I like the team. I think that Memphis is doing some things right. All you got to do is string together a couple of wins. We get together and we run through conference tournament. So I'm going to say Memphis did a lot right. And Houston, you're right, Jay. I'm not a fan. I don't see everything. But based off what I know, leading scorer, we kept them in check. They got shooters. They can shoot. But I think we made some better rotations, and next week could be a lot different.
I am like I said at the beginning of the show, if I'm a Memphis fan, the only thing that I'm mad about is the way you lost the game. Like the way they played and some of the things, like you would have hoped for Boogie to play better. Or damn, you said something that made me think. Oh, then like I said earlier, that the 2 players that played the best for the Tigers were the players you expected to play the best for the Tigers, the most experienced players, Landers and DeAndre. They had been in this position before. They had played these high-level games before, played in the high tension spot before. Like Landers in the ACC, and I don't really know who DeAndre Williams played at Evansville, but let's just say he played a good team at Evansville. I mean, they beat Kentucky when he was there. He played Kentucky and rough and stuff. So, you look at that. I also think that this is also a time for Penny to use a teachable moment. I like your emotion. The emotion of this team is what carries this team, but that emotion is always also going to get you in trouble. Because at some point, the ref's going to say, forget it. I'm not giving you a call because all you're doing, you're talking too much. You're talking too much. You way too demonstrative. And they're like, we're not doing it. I'm gonna call a foul on you. I'm going to call this foul. And that's what happened in the first half. They were calling the ticky tack stuff to get control of the game, and because Memphis came out there talking all this crap, which is fine, do that, but you are at the mercy of the referees, and they are the ones that control the game, and so that's what happened. And you see how it looked when the game got more pace in the second half, and they were going more up and down. How Memphis looked a lot better. And the refs basically had to follow their whistle on a lot of stuff because there was a lot of fouls going on in the second half. They were calling that they were calling in the first half.
Yeah, the most concerning thing to me with the team is like the overall basketball IQ at all times on the floor is like negative 420. You never know what's going to happen with a dumb foul, like you said, 94 feet away from the basket, a stupid reach in, diving on top of someone, and then usually it's the turnovers. Like I've been harping on, we are the worst in the nation at the non-steal turnovers. So just shooting ourselves in the foot, and we had a few today. The travels and things like that. They come back to bite you in the ass.
And then you make dunks. Musa Cisse, you are 11 feet tall.
Let's not forget that one. You're right.
You 11 feet tall, my guy. Mace, what was my play of the game last game the Tigers played? Musa getting the offensive rebound, put away from the goal, and just threw the bitch over, just threw it over the rim. Threw it over the rim. You come on, bro. This is too obvious now, Musa. You got all this strength up here, bro. Use it to dunk the basketball. And DeAndre, we done mentioned it 4 times because it needs to be mentioned a lot. You missed a wide open dunk, brother. Like nobody, Jerome was beside you. I guess you looked at Jerome to see if he might try to come. But it wasn't even like no real. He missed on the front of the rim.
Yeah,
like, put the ball on the front of the rim and it bounced all the way back. Come on, man.
So I don't want to make excuses. And y'all hitting on some great points. I didn't want to open up with it, but I mean, 2 or 3 plays don't make or break a game because you should be elite enough to separate yourself from, for the other 38 minutes in the game. But yeah, you've pinpointed some things that we have to correct. And I'm not saying we have to correct it to win this game. We have to correct it to win games. When there's nobody between you and the basket, you attack the basket. When you're 11 feet tall, you stand on your tiptoes and put it down. It doesn't get to a point where anybody is between you and their rim. And, and I don't want to be critical because it was good this year, but the focus, we just have to be focused on this play. Minute and a half, when we were down 5, maybe, it was, I like how we stuck with it. Jay, you mentioned about Memphis coming out talking, and I know you might have a slight bias there, but Houston was playing air screens. Like that's what you do in a conference game, man. That's what you do to rattle your opponent. That's what you do when let's say Memphis is the underdog. That's what you do to get a slight advantage. So not making excuses, but that first half, the refs played a slightly bigger role than what they should have. I'm talking about guys just leaning on each other. I'm talking about DeAndre Williams trying to fight through a pick and getting called. I'm talking about Damian, the same play, like just arm out. I'm not even, touching anybody. But if you set a pick and I'm not able to attempt to fight through it, then I'm running their set. I'm a part of their offense at that point if I can't disrupt it. So no excuse, because the first half went both ways, but I felt like Memphis was called a little bit tighter. And some of the things that if you're relying on your defense and relying on rallying somebody and stepping in the path and the plays and you just want to give them a slight bump, we were at a disadvantage. And I don't know if that played a role in the second half, but it did loosen up some. But IQ, you have to be smarter than the refs. And I think that, we correct a couple of things and it gets to a point where, it's late in the season, but to me, this is the most important part. It would have been nice to get this effort at the beginning, but now where we are, and as a fan, I'm not going to say what we can't do.
Well, you should, because you can't beat Houston, by the way.
Get out of here.
That's not
we just watched the same game.
Like this is JB conversation, man. Like, let's be unbiased and make it a real conversation, because
I don't think Jamal can be unbiased.
It's not about it's not about can we beat Houston. It's about can we play good basketball. That's my question. I don't care about the opponent. If I'm consistent in what I do, I really don't care who I encounter on a day-to-day basis. It's
been shown and proven over from this season that this team is capable of playing good basketball, but can they play good basketball consistently? That's the whole thing we're talking about. And one of the things that is a telltale sign of a mediocrely coached team is the fact that they play to the level of their competition. This Tigers team stuck with Houston. I will continue that the game go to overtime. The Tigers win this game. I'll give you that. But the last 2 weeks, they started to get back into themselves. Like, I still hate the fact that the Cincinnati game was so close. They should have blew them out the water. They blew South Florida out the water. I can't remember who else they blew out the water. Whose game was too close? The Tulane game, they ended up winning by 15 or something, which is good because Tulane really doesn't lose by that many points usually. But all of everything that we talked about goes hand in hand with it. The lack of basketball IQ and the extra stuff on the court is what's going to hold this team back. And so their greatness, they're going to have to play greater than the things holding them back. They're going to have to overcome the bad calls from the refs, because they are inviting that to them by bringing so much attention. Lester hits the three and starts doing the strum. Cool. So every time I hit a three, I'm coming straight to you and I'm doing the strumming in your face. And then the ref's gonna say, all right, he's the one that started it. You need to chill out. I'm gonna do it on you.
Jay.
What?
No, Jay, how is that? So if you have a signature move, if you have a way to rile up your team and to encourage them, and somebody mock you, it's a different taunting. Taunting isn't something that is just.
I ain't saying the refs gonna give him a text. I'm just saying that if that's what you're going to do, you have to be able to deal with the consequences of it. So if you're going to make the three every time you make a three and you do the strum, you be okay with somebody strumming in your face when they make a three, and you be okay with somebody talking shit to you, and let the refs deal with it the way the refs deal with it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be cognizant of what you are bringing to it. The refs ain't look like Musa gets a foul call the first thing, and the first thing he do is like flailing and I'm doing all this. Go shoot your free throw and let's go. But what you do is you setting the tone. You can set the tone negatively or you can set the tone positively. That's what it is. I'm not, if you're okay and good enough to overcome it, do it all the time. This team is not.
Yeah, but I don't think that should change how the Tigers are officiated. Like they had 15 fouls called on them in the first half and only 5 in the second half, and they played the same defense the whole game. So I think that's what JB's trying to say.
But what I'm saying is they would have got 5 fouls called in the first half if they weren't bringing attention to if they weren't bringing the attention.
Both teams were talking like you acting like it was just Memphis out there running their mouth. Both teams were talking. It's been in the media all week. The coach has been going back and forth. Like this is a rivalry game. It's our Super Bowl. And the refs got to expect that.
It was y'all Super Bowl, and it got out of hand real quick.
What was out of hand?
The refs thought it was out of hand. That's why they had to That's why they had to make the calls. And it's you are at the mercy of the referees. The referees decide how physically you can play defense. Now the thing about Memphis is, unlike most teams, they don't change. They are going to play their way all 40 minutes. Most teams would have said, we're not going to press no more. We already got these fouls. We're going to pull back. I'm not going to press no more. Memphis plays their way all 40 minutes, which is a credit and a testament to them. But you have to be ready for what comes with that. Some ticky-tack calls, they going to call. Some they not going to call. And I mean, like, it ain't like Memphis was the only team. Houston got a little of a bad whistle from time to time, too, in this game. But go ahead.
From time to time, Jay,
in the first half.
This is right, man. What I do within that 90 feet, that is not a violation of, Rule 401C does not dictate how you call Rule 401C. Just because you need to control the game, it was not. You're not strumming in her face. You're looking at the camera. You're looking at your own bench. You're not doing anything. So
take the Lester thing out because I don't want to focus on that example.
That's fair. And all I'm saying is,
go ahead.
All I'm saying is, if I do something and you're right, let's be biased. Yes. all I'm saying is, if I need to encourage my team, this is my Super Bowl, so let me hype my guys up. And these are your words, Jay. This was your Super Bowl. So this is my Super Bowl. Let me be great. Let me get energetic. Let me do what I need to do to play 40 minutes of basketball. As long as I'm not hip checking these guys or, running through these guys or taking the ball and running 90 feet without dribbling, the referee does not need to stop my momentum. The referee does not need to
watch too much. You watch too much basketball to know that that's not going to happen. Like you know that it's not going to happen.
I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm saying from out the gate, like, okay, you get a couple of check calls to just be like, all right, hey, I run this. I'm the ref. I got the stripes on. But once you see that it's not anything that's enabling this squad are given a true advantage because I'm letting you hold on the pick, or I'm letting you, impede a path, or I'm letting you charge. I'm letting you do the James Harden step back. DeAndre Williams, was that a travel? Yeah. But do they call it 90% of the time? No. If you call it that, can I not argue that?
You can argue
it's not travel. So I'm going to say travel. You talk to your brother. I said it was 3 calls that I was like, man, jump ball. DeAndre Williams came across his whole arm. That's a foul. It's hard to say that, but that's a foul because if you only want to take a snapshot of it, then you pick which snapshot you want to take. But if you want to be consistent, as a ref should, then you have to be consistent. And you cannot say that, once I establish control, this is my game, guys. Y'all do what you do. I'm going to give you some ring. You're talking about some teenagers. You're talking about some young
No, we're
guys.
not. DeAndre Williams is 35 years old. I'm so tired of motherfuckers saying that DeAndre Williams is a teenager. He is 24 years old. Stop.
We talking about Lester.
Good Lord.
DeAndre and I went to high school together. Yeah.
Secondly, now you got me all flustered. I forgot my point. What were you talking about with the fouls? I admit the first half, the refs were way too heavy-handed. I've said that. But the refs were also, they could have been more heavy-handed if they wanted to. You heard him say, hey, stop talking. No more talking. I'm done with the talking. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that. You heard him say that. Granted, they gave him a bad call on Lester when Grimes gave Lester elbow to the neck. They could have threw him out the game for that if they really looked at the thing. So I'm not making it just Memphis versus Houston. What I'm saying is, once you play defense as aggressively and as hard as Memphis plays every time down the court, the refs will make some calls that will not be good. Because they're putting the pressure on the defense and they're putting the pressure on the referee. Adding to that, the extracurriculars of every time you make a shot, I'm in your face, I'm talking, I'm doing this. The refs
in the face, though, Jay? In the face. Were they really in the face, or were they just talking?
In the first half, Lander scored 7 straight points in the first half, and he went straight up to Jerome in his face and said, "Yeah, nigga, it's me." Come on, bro. Don't let's not do this. There are
3 minutes in the game, Jay. Like you talking about not being biased on the Lester example or getting too caught up on that. Okay, yeah, it's going to be times.
I'm saying that is part of the thing. That's part of all. The referees are all taking that in. So Lander starts and everybody else continues. And I ain't saying that Houston was just innocent bystanders, like they just letting somebody talk crap to their face and not talking back. But that's what if some team starts it and the other team continues it, that's when things can get out of hand. And that's when the refs gonna step in, and that's what they did. And like they didn't tee nobody up, they didn't throw nobody out. They just made a few calls to say, okay, you doing too much hand checking. I'm gonna get you out of here.
Mace, I'm done.
We've seen enough American Athletic Conference officiating over the last 5 years in both football and basketball to know that we can't leave the game in the referee's hands because it's usually not going to go the Tigers' way. We know that whether it's Joey Magnifico making a catch at Temple or a game in Houston, it is what it is. We still can't let them have 15 offensive rebounds, even though we only held them to 12 second chance points. They only outscored us by 1 on the second chance points, but still giving them 15 extra opportunities when your defense is playing as good as it was. Marcus Sasser can't hit anything. Jerome's really the only offense they got going besides Grimes getting some mop-up buckets. Giving them those 15 extra chances comes back and kills you.
And the thing with, I'm gonna get off the refs real quick. The thing with the refs is you can't talk bad about them when they don't go your way, and then when because they've given Memphis the benefit of the doubt in other games a lot. Like I said, the game against South Florida where
Alo bringing up old shit.
Alo basically mauled somebody at half court to win the game, no foul call. All this other and so how aggressive they are defensively is their calling card. And so sometimes you get a good refereeing crew, sometimes you don't, and you got to live with it.
And that's fair, Jay. And that's fair. So okay, let's not focus on the refs too much. And this might be one of my last statements about a ref. But do you not think refs watch film? Does refs not know they need to when they really need to control a game versus when a team isn't trying to be malicious? I'm not saying to let Memphis get away with holding, grabbing, headlocks, any of that. But you just said the way our defense is, it's aggressive. So how can I, punish a team for their calling card being defense? I'm not saying illegal defense. It's just defense. And today you would have to admit, and Mason said it, AAC is a little bit tighter than some of these guys in SEC or ACC, where you have guys slapping the floor saying you cannot get past me. So if I got pride on defense, how are you going to restrict me from not letting my guy get behind me?
JB, a handshake is a handshake, bro. Like a handshake is a handshake, a forearm is a forearm. Sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't. So like that's at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Use your discretion. It's in the rules book, right?
And the referees say you have discretion to call the fouls. And I'm just saying that Memphis's action.
Watch film. You know when a handshake is a handshake to hinder versus a handshake being this guy's moving his feet too. I'm moving my feet.
That's not how they call handshakes in NCAA. And first off, I've been dealing with Pac-12 officiating for 25 years. We're the worst officiated conference in the history of NCAA. So I know bad officiating. And if I can get, and I give the refs routinely my bum of the game. And y'all got me on here defending referees, which I don't want to be doing right now. But you also got to understand that this is what all I'm saying. Memphis is always at a 10. Not even on the defensive end, the extracurriculars. If they bring their extracurriculars to a 7.5, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And I don't think that takes away from the team getting the energy that they need to be better. I'm done with the rest. What else you got to say? Because we've been doing it for 47 minutes. I got to go drink some mimosas and get some chicken and waffles. So what's going on, man? What else you got?
JP, what did you think about Williams? How Penny handled Williams once he got the 2 fouls in the first half by not playing him the rest of the way, and then once he got the 4th foul with like 7.5 minutes left in the game, and we didn't really see him till 4 minutes left or something like that.
So my take on that is it's hard to. It's all about momentum. It's all about what's critical at that time. So Williams went out second half. We got our rebound and maybe say 10 to 3, 10 to 4, something like that. Comes back in, get a rebound, put back, misses the free throw. So, we didn't get the 3-point play that we needed. But he's the energy guy. I'm not going to be overly critical there, because if you keep him in with 7 minutes, does he get that rebound in 4 minutes? But I am of the mindset of you play your guys. When you're in a position where it's make or break, like you pull your guy to the side, you say, hey, I'm going to break down film tomorrow. If you let him get away with that layup, we have 4 fouls. I'm not going to harp on you there. But what I am going to harp on you on is you're in the game and I'm trusting you. I need you to prove me right. I know a lot of coaches lean on, I want to preserve, but I'm like the right now. I'm like, hey, let's go get it. So I'm not going to say overly critical of Kenny, but my philosophy is different because I'm playing my guys. I need to carry us. If this is my Super Bowl, using Jay's words, I don't want to lose a possession. And, I understand, even if it's a quick sub just to have a conversation with them, I don't want to waste the time out on that. So if I can get a quick sub, have a conversation with them, and put them back in, I would do that. And I think Penny, first half, it was early. But college is tough because the way they were calling it the first half, I'm okay with him taking them out with 2 fouls.
And we stayed in the game. In the game. It was close the whole time.
I think the first half, he shouldn't have put him back in the first half.
I'm okay with that.
But once he picked up that 4th foul, Houston went on a 12-5 run before Williams came back in, and that's when they took the lead and took control of the game.
Yeah, like I have been very I don't know critical, but I've wanted to see a lot from DeAndre Williams, and tonight showed you this morning showed you how important he is to that team. Like how I've said it before, like he's way too demonstrative on the court, like and all the other stuff, but he's very important to this team, and it shows that when he plays. I still think I don't know if he's the best player on the team, as Penny would call him. I think he probably means the most to the team. I don't know if he's the best player, but so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I just saw the bracket out. You got him again on Saturday. If everything goes right, you got Houston again on Saturday.
Who do we have to play first?
Winner of East Carolina and UCF. So,
but to the point we were talking about earlier, you hope that coming off the letdown that this is, and how we are known to play up and down to our competition, like they got to bring the same energy and attention to detail that they had in this game versus Houston.
Well, Houston got to play the winner of Tulane and Tulsa. I mean, they lost to Tulsa once this year. So
let's go, Frank Haith.
We'll see. But then Memphis had to play Tulsa, and Memphis ain't Tulsa.
We don't want no smoke with Tulsa.
that ain't it. Well, shoot, man, we done did 51 minutes. I'm about to go get me some mimosas and enjoy the rest of my Saturday. JB and the kids, tell them y'all go make a brother.
Daddy daycare over here, baby. But we teaching them well. We watch the Tigers. Now it's daytime, and I'm here for it both. The common denominator.
Tell them not be so demonstrative. Don't be so demonstrative, and don't be talking. What's up, kid? All right, man. We're gonna holler at y'all later.
It was good, man, and I appreciate what y'all do, man. Like I told your brother, dude, I like to hear it. Because you help me see some stuff that I don't want to see, and I know it comes from a different place. And I'm okay with that, because what makes you better are your critiques, and that's the reality of it, man. I'm not a professional basketball or D1 guy, but somebody that sits me down and says this is what you need to do better, regardless of where that place come from, Jamal Body, I need to hear it. But I also need you to understand that don't get so consumed in that moment that you overlook what you're seeing.
Look, man, I ain't got time to be talking about this philosophical debates about Memphis basketball with you. Get out of here. That's just terrible. Just terrible. You Memphis fans, delusional, I tell you.
Always good to hear JB's perspective on hoops.
No, it's not, because it's always so Memphis. Anyway, let's get into these superlatives. Mace, who you got for player of the game?
I'm gonna go Malcolm. I thought his minutes were huge without Williams or Cisse in that first half, and just keeping us in it. So shout out to Malcolm once again. Who you got?
I am going to go with I'm gonna go with DeAndre Williams, actually. I mean, the minutes he played were so good. Nah, I'm gonna go with Malcolm. I think for the Tiger side, Malcolm is the obvious choice. He nothing, you said it right. You couldn't ask for anything better from him. Bum of the game. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Marcus Sasser. I was expecting a big day from him, and I think he's really what helps Houston go, along with the steady influence of Quentin Grimes. But I'm gonna give Sasser the bum of the game.
Sasser shall be mine. Actually, I'm going to say who else am I going to say? I want to say the bigs of Houston. Like, they did a lot of stuff on the defense, on the rebound and stuff, but they catch the ball and don't even look at the rim. Like, they would just catch the ball and just look like right there. So they're the bum. Could have gave it to Musa, but I gave it to him last time. Play of the game.
From the guy who was almost my bum of the game before this play, Boogie Ellis, the three-pointer to tie it up with 1 second left. Man, it felt great. It was like finally Memphis is, made a shot when it mattered, and this is our chance. We're going into overtime. Jamal thinks we're going to win. Like, here we go. And then they just rip our heart out with the overall play of the game, the Tremont Mark shot from half court.
I think that's a no-brainer for the play of the game. And I wrote it down like, that play is so interesting because if that wasn't such a bad miss, that Boogie shot doesn't happen. Like,
right.
Lester missed perfectly for that shot to happen. There you go.
The hard brick caused it to bounce off someone and come back out. Like, it was wild. Not how Penny drew it up. I can guarantee that. It was such a
bad shot that it probably hit somebody in the head. Like, it came off the backboard so fast, and like, hit somebody in the head, and boom, right out to Boogie. Okay, and so final question of the night: did Jamal win some money? And I did win some money today. Probably the most successful bets I've had with the Tigers.
Let's go.
So they were favored. They were a 10-point underdog this morning. So I put some money on them, Tigers plus 10. And then the over-under was 135, and I put some money on the under. And they both hit. So what a good way to start Sunday.
Hey, and I woke up feeling like Moneyline Mace. I didn't choose the money line, and I'm not a gambling man, but when I see an easy business investment opportunity with like the Tigers plus 10, you got to take that, man. So I hopped in and won me a little money today too.
There you go. I mean, that was just this easy money. This is a smart play.
Exactly. Hey, real quick before we get out of here, would you have fouled before the half court shot?
Oh, 1.7?
We have one foul to give before they got into the bonus.
Too tough.
It's too tough.
Too tough. Like if it was like 4 seconds left, yeah. But with that, it was because you knew it was going to be a catch and shoot.
Yeah.
We talked about the refs at length during this. They who knows what they call, you know what I'm saying? And then you just got to make one free throw. So
yeah. I mean, so many Twitter coaches are saying Memphis should have fouled. The guy who used to coach here, Joe Esposito. I'm like, what? How do you foul in that situation and then leave it in the ref's hands where they're going to the line to shoot 3 and they only need 1 to win the game?
Right.
Whereas they have to hit a half court shot to beat you off a wicked bounce pass or half court bounce pass that just everything worked out perfectly the exact way that they drew it up. It looked like.
Now, what I would have done, and was somebody guarding the ball?
Malcolm was. I'm kind of, and that's Penny trusting him more than Cisse, I guess, being on the ball. Yes, and then we didn't really let the guy catch it in front of us. He kind of caught it going around us, So
it was a bounce pass.
It was a crazy pass, yeah.
It was a bounce pass. Oh, well, Mace, let the people know where they can find you, man.
Y'all can find me on Twitter at BarnburnerSlim. Y'all can find the podcast version of the show on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your pods. Just search All Memphis Postgame Show. You can even just do Memphis Postgame. We'll be right there. Subscribe to it. Leave us a review so we move on to that first page on the search bar, and we'd appreciate it a lot. Jay, where can they find you and the video versions of the show?
And they can find me on Twitter at NerdyMcFly. You can see the show on Facebook Live at the Kickback Pod and at YouTube, the Diamond in the Bluff Media. Just search Diamond in the Bluff Media. You'll see all of the post-game shows there. With that being said, for Mace, I am Jamal, and we are out.
Peace.